This is News 12 New Jersey.
Hello everyone, welcome to 12 in Our Schools. I'm Brian Jenkins. Imagine you open your mail and got a utility bill for $2 billion. That's how much New Jersey schools spent last year to operate and maintain school buildings. But think about it, keeping classrooms cool and powered up every day, hallways and offices lit, water fountains running, all of that costs a pretty penny. And in a state where every municipality is under the gun to cut costs, saving on something normally as benign as utilities has become a hot new priority. Sounds like it's time for an audit, not on taxes, but on energy use. Here to talk about that are Tom Xenakis, Vice President of Commercial at Concord Engineering, Thomas Gellinella, Superintendent of Jackson Township Schools, and Michelle Richardson, Business Administrator for the Jackson Township School District. My thanks to all of you for coming on board today. You know, it's not something we often talk about around the dinner table, but I would imagine in your case, Mr. Gellinella, you have to look at the budget and say, where can I cut costs? What can I do? Because we've got a dwindling amount of money in the pot. Was this your idea, some 10 years ago, to do an audit? How did this come about?
Well, before I came to Jackson, someone was wise enough to put forward an idea to do an energy audit. And we've been reaping some of the benefits while I've been superintendent. And now it's time to do another one, and that's why we're really talking to Concord Engineering about that project.
Now, when you first started talking about audits, let's talk about what that means. Tom, you come in, or I would say you call Michelle, and Michelle says, okay, who can we get? And Michelle calls you and says, we need an audit to save some money?
Well, there's a bidding process, and actually the state now, through the Local Government Energy Audit Program, which is run by New Jersey's Clean Energy Program, which is administered by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, has provided a program for all local government entities, whether it's school districts, municipalities, 501c3s, and state universities as well, to get a free energy audit up to $100,000 on an annual basis to really start their energy program. And so there's a simple application that can be pulled down from the website.
And any government entity or office building can call you guys and say, we need this done.
Right. There's actually 5 firms, which we are one of them, that will be solicited when they get approved for the program. And at that point we'll bid on it, and then the school district or local government entity would select the firm that they'd like to work with.
Now, let me bring you into this, Michelle, because you're in the middle. You get the call from the superintendent, hey, we got to save money, what can we do? And you're sitting there tearing your hair out going, what do we do?
Well, the utility costs are the 3rd largest cost in a school district. So, I mean, after salaries and benefits. So it's one that you really want to look at to see if there's some savings you can do there. And when I saw the free audit program on one of the New Jersey's websites, I said, this is the way we need to go. So I contacted them and said, you know, how do I get involved with this for our school district? Because eventually you will save money. It's a long-term kind of effect, because after you have the audit, you have to implement the things that they find in your audit. And once you do that, you will start to see the savings.
And obviously you've seen some savings. We've got some stats we're going to throw on the screen right now. Take a look. Schools save an average of 20 to 30%. Now, this has happened in the Jackson Township School District. They saved over $500,000 annually and achieved a 30% reduction in energy costs. I would imagine that is huge in this economy, in this state, when you've got a governor slicing, dicing, and the superintendent's got to say, where do we do it?
The program really is a partnership between the company that's doing the audit and the school district. They have to have access to our facilities. They have to be able to come in and have some freedom and to see exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it and make suggestions. So you really have to work at that partnership out with that private company.
So Michelle calls you back and says, okay, we got this program, we can do an audit, we can save some money. You say, Michelle, you're a genius, we're going to give you a raise, bring these guys in, let's do it. You guys come in, and what do you look for when you do this audit?
Well, you start with the utility bills. You have a kickoff meeting. You want to sit down and understand how they operate their building. And you're going to do a site survey, and you're going to literally get into how do they operate this building and really try and find the ways to save energy.
Now, this is a whole lot more than just turning lights on and off.
This is correct, yes. You know, the last thing you want to do is you could turn the lights off, but nobody could see, right? So you want to be able to find ways to creatively save energy without negatively impacting the environment. And in most cases, with the upgrade and the improvements, you're actually enhancing the learning environment in the classroom.
Let's talk about the upgrade and improvements that you guys. You had something called a geothermal pump?
That's right. Yeah, we were fortunate enough to do the audit originally 10 years ago and work with the school district to implement. Geothermal heating and cooling is the primary driver of most of those savings, and as well as a major lighting retrofit that took place back then.
And we're going to get into that in a second, because that's another thing that's pretty neat that you're doing, the lighting thing. But this geothermal, explain what that is. You take the water, pump it underground where it's cooled, correct? Or it's at the same temperature. And then you use that water to cool or heat because it's the same temperature year round. Is that accurate?
The earth is used as the heat source and the heat sink. And it's often like your refrigerator. It's cooling the environment and it's rejecting heat to the back of your refrigerator. That is the refrigeration process. And that refrigeration process is inside each one of the heat pumps that feeds cool air and hot air into each of the classrooms. It rejects heat to a water loop that then rejects that heat to the ground in the summertime, and in the wintertime it pulls heat out of the ground, circulates that water, and then the refrigeration pulls that heat out of that water loop and heats the air for the classroom.
That is amazing. Is that a new development, or has this been around for a while?
It's been going on for a long time. Our firm installed the first one that we did in '92. The owner of the company was very forward-thinking. Energy has been a core fabric for our company, and so we've had over 30 schools in the state of New Jersey that have geothermal systems, and it's really becoming more in vogue because of the energy crunch.
Right.
But it's something that's a tried and true technology, and is the best way to heat and cool your building from an efficiency standpoint.
So you go in year 1, year 2, year 3, Tom, you're looking at the budget saying, wow. I mean, what was your reaction to see the amount of savings that you got out of this?
Well, the two buildings that we converted over after the original audit were electric buildings. So you can imagine the cost of heating those buildings with electric compared to heating those buildings now and air conditioning those buildings with a heat pump that we have, a geothermal system. Two other buildings that we have built since then, we put in the geothermal system when we built it. So we are seeing a significant savings. We have two buildings that are about the same size, one with geothermal, one without, and there's a vast difference in the utility costs for each one of those.
I want to talk real quick about the lighting difference that you did, because that's something that's probably a little easier that districts can take advantage of.
Yes, and lighting, it starts with just looking at lamp and replacements and fixtures, and from there it can get more sophisticated where it's implementing controls. And there's projects where we did a lighting retrofit 10 years ago, and we're coming back into those places because the technology is continuing.
Right.
It's a less invasive, not as involved process, but can make a big bang for the buck. And
Wow.
the big thing there is that putting the emphasis on improving your infrastructure, the buildings that are going to be there, and making an impact.
Well, listen, it's great stuff you guys are doing, a great idea that you've adopted. Obviously, it's something that's working and maybe some other districts can take advantage of. Thanks for coming on board and sharing it with us. Stay with us after the break. We'll tell you about some exciting and educational experiences you can have with your kids this summer.